We started on a vacation where we met Nora, Leon, Andy, and Spice, who were best friends playing at filling out a college application. The children were already thinking about their future. At that moment, they were interrupted by Conk and his friends, who invited them to explore the forest with them. However, Nora and the others rejected the invitation. 8 years later, we see the group of friends on their graduation day. While the others are having fun that night, Andy complains because they never do anything fun or get invited to parties. Since it's summer, Andy and his friends decide to get jobs and make some money before going to college. Andy, for his part, takes care of the tennis court. Nora is a laboratory assistant, Spice is a cook, and Leon is a karate trainer. Andy tells his friends that, thanks to their good work, he will now be in charge of training the beginner women. On the other hand, Leon meets the sister of one of his students. After a bit of chatting with her, she invites him to a party she is going to throw and also tells him that he can bring whoever he wants with him. That leaves Leon very excited because it is the first party he has been invited to, and he can take his friends. Later, he and Nora meet up with Andy and make fun of him because of the girl from India that Andy had met online. They tell him that it is probably a dude who wants to scam him, but Andy tells them that this girl is real and will visit him in a few weeks. For that, he needs to save $2,000 to pay for her flight. That same day, they meet with Spice in the restaurant where he works, and Leon takes the opportunity to tell everyone that they are finally invited to a party. Andy is excited because he thinks it's what they need, but Spice and Nora make excuses not to go. However, Andy tells them that they have missed out on many experiences by not having fun with each other, and they need to start living life. This convinces them, and they all agree to go to the party. Later, Andy practices tennis with the women at the club. He explains the positions in which they had to place the racket and how to make the shots. By the end, one of the women asks if he is able to give her private lessons. He tells her that they can try, and she invites him to accompany her to her house. The next day, the four of them gather the courage to go to the party. The guards confirms that they are on the list and lets them pass. When they arrive, confused, they wonder what to do at the party, so they approach a couple and ask them where the alcohol is. The four of them try alcohol for the first time. They complain about the strong taste, but they continue drinking. Andy and Spice talk to two girls while they smoke. Then, Andy tells them that Spice can prepare something so that it remains firm, no matter the noise in the house. The girls don't believe him, and one of them bets him $100 that he won't make it. Spice agrees, and they go to the kitchen. On the other hand, Nora meets Erland, her laboratory partner, whom she finds very attractive. At the same time, a girl asks Andy about his talent, and he tells her that he can catch anything edible with his mouth. The girl is surprised and shows everyone Andy's talent. When they finish playing, she invites him to a more private place, and he accepts. On the other hand, Spice manages to win the bet and makes the best Yule. However, the girl tells him that she does not have the money to pay him for what she had bet on but can pay him with something else. When they're about to get a little hotter, Spice gets really intense, and that bothers the girl, and she leaves him. Andy, for his part, confesses to the girl that he had never had sex before. The girl asks him not to worry, and they proceed. When the party is over, everyone returns home. The parents of each one were worried because it was the first time that their children were late. The next morning, while they talk about what they did at the party, an unknown girl throws food at Andy, and he catches it with his mouth. He explains to them that they had been told about his talent. Spice tells them that he didn't get any action, but at least he got another girl to invite him to another party, which excites everyone because they want to have fun again. That afternoon, Andy arrives at the woman's house to give his private tennis lessons. Andy starts looking for her for his lessons, but unexpectedly, this was all part of the woman's plan to seduce him. The tennis lesson turns out to be on the bed, and they end up doing it. After several rounds, the woman pays him very well for his work. At dusk, everyone goes to this second party. Andy and Spice observe Leon, who seems to be in another world after having consumed some substances. Additionally, they talk about Nora's relationship with Erland, which bothers Andy because he is much older than her, and he thinks she will end up heartbroken. Spice asks him if he is in love with Nora, and Andy says no and that he continues giving private classes to pay for his girlfriend's flight. Days later, at the end of Andy's classes, he is approached by another woman who asks about his private lessons since her friend had recommended his services. Andy agrees to give this woman private lessons as well, and from that moment on, he begins to give lessons to all the women in the tennis club, which pays him very well. Andy saves all this money so he can pay for his girlfriend's flight from India. One day, while Andy and his friends were playing mini-golf, Kong, his friend, arrives at the place, greeting them after not having seen them for a long time. However, Nora asks them to leave them alone. When they leave, Andy takes the opportunity to ask her about Erland since he doesn't think he's a good match for her, and this makes Nora upset by getting into her private life, so she just leaves the place. Spice, for his part, decides to tell Leon that Andy has been sleeping with tennis women for money, so he shouldn't talk about relationships with Nora. Andy tells him that it's different because he only does it for work. That same night, Andy decides to send the girl in India the $2,000 for her flight. On the other hand, Nora tries to relax with Erland. However, she gets confused when calling him by another name, and this bothers her a lot. Erland tries to calm her down, and he takes her to the laboratory, where he shows her projects that she has never seen before. This makes her a little happier, and they end up making love in that place. The next day, while Andy does one of his lessons, he gets surprised by the husband of one of the women arriving home early, so Andy leaves the house naked as fast as he can while the woman tries to hide his clothes. All this causes the next day his boss to be very upset and complain about what happened. He tells him that he knows about his private lessons and that they have also done it with women in tennis for years, but have never ended up like Andy, and he warns him not to get caught because if suspicions arise, their business will be discovered. Days after,